All right, today we're going to put on our detective hats. Why? Because we're on a mission to crack the customer code. We're talking about finding those hidden patterns, buried deep in a sea of data, using this really cool technique called clustering. So let's dive right in.
Think about it. Pretty much every business out there is sitting on this map. It's chock full of clues about who their customers are, what they actually want, but here's the catch. Without the right tools, it's just a jumble of random markings. And that treasure, that deep customer insight, it just stays buried.
And that right there brings us to a super common problem. I like to call it the hidden customer puzzle. You've done the hard work, you've collected all this information, but now what? How do you actually turn it all into a clear picture?
I mean, you've got the whole shebang, right? You have their age, their income, their credit score, how many times they've bought something online, how many times they've walked into your store. But when you stare at it all in a giant spreadsheet, it's just overwhelming. It's just noise. There's no clear signal in there yet.
So the big question is, how do we find that signal in all that noise? Well, we need a special kind of detective's toolkit. And in the world of data, that amazing tool is called clustering.
Okay, so what is clustering exactly? To put it simply, it's a type of machine learning that automatically, and this is the key part, automatically finds natural groups in your data. The magic word here is unsupervised. That means you don't have to tell the algorithm what to look for. Nope, it tells you what groups are there, just by looking at how similar all the data points are to each other. Pretty cool, right?
And trust me, this is used everywhere. Businesses are using it all the time to tailor their marketing through customer segmentation, find brand new opportunities with market segmentation, and even to spot things like fraud using what's called anomaly detection. No matter the use case, it's always about one thing: finding meaningful structure in what looks like chaos.
Now, it's not like there's only one way to do this. A good detective has a whole bag of tricks, right? You've got things like hierarchical clustering or DBCN, and each one has its own strengths and weaknesses. But for our investigation today, we're going to focus on one of the most popular and, honestly, most effective methods out there, K-means. Why? Because it's simple, it's efficient, and it's pretty much perfect for solving our puzzle.
All right, time to get our hands dirty. Let's lay out our investigative plan for finding these hidden customer groups. Every good detective has to have a solid method, a process they follow.
So here's our plan. It's a really straightforward three-step process. First, we have to prepare the evidence, which means scaling our data. We'll get to that in a sec. Second, we need to figure out exactly how many groups we're even looking for. And then finally, we unleash the K-means algorithm to do all the heavy lifting.
Okay, step one is absolutely critical. We have to scale the data. Just imagine this. You're comparing someone's annual income, which could be, $80,000, $100,000, to the number of times they visited your store, which might be like 2 or 5. Without scaling, those huge income numbers would just completely drown out everything else. The whole analysis would be biased. So scaling basically puts every variable on a level playing field. It makes sure every piece of evidence gets a fair vote in the final result.
All right, next up, how many groups are we actually looking for? Is it 2? Is it 10? How do we know? Well, we use a clever little technique called the elbow method. What we do is we calculate how tightly packed the groups are for different numbers of clusters, say for 2 clusters, then 3, then 4, and so on. We're looking for that elbow point on the graph, that sweet spot where adding another cluster doesn't really help us all that much. It's the point of diminishing returns.
And for the data we're looking at today, the elbow method gives us a really clear answer. The optimal number of groups we should be looking for in our little customer puzzle is 3.
Okay, now for the really exciting part, the big reveal. We know we're looking for 3 groups. We've prepped our data perfectly. It is time to run the algorithm and finally uncover the identities of our 3 hidden customer tribes.
So how does K-means actually pull this off? It's pretty neat. It starts by just randomly dropping 3 center points, they're called centroids, into our data. Then for every single customer, it asks, which centroid are you closest to, and assigns them to that group. After that, it looks at each new group and finds its new center and moves the centroid there. And then it just does that again and again and again until the groups settle down and stop changing. It's like this beautifully simple dance that just keeps repeating until it finds the true heart of each group.
And when we take this really elegant process and apply it to that messy, chaotic spreadsheet of customer data we started with, well, something magical happens. All that noise, all that chaos, it just starts to organize itself. It literally transforms into pure, beautiful clarity.
And here it is. This is the result. Just look at this. 3 completely distinct groups just emerged from the data. First, we have Cluster 1. This is an older group, about 55 years old, with the highest income and excellent credit. What's interesting is they love visiting physical stores, but they don't buy much online. Then you have Cluster 2. These are your middle-aged folks, around 40, with a more moderate income and credit score. They kind of do a bit of everything, some online, some in store. And finally, Cluster 3, a much younger group, around 25, with the lowest income and credit, and they do almost all of their shopping online. Incredible, right?
Okay, this is fantastic. This is amazing. But let's be real. Insights are totally useless if you don't do anything with them. So now we get to the most important question of all. How do we turn this knowledge into an actual business strategy? How do we get from data to dollars?
Let's start with Tribe 1. We'll call them the high-value visitors. These are the folks with money to spend, and they really prefer that physical, in-person shopping experience. So the strategy here is crystal clear. You target them with high-end in-store promotions, maybe some exclusive events, and a really top-tier loyalty program that makes them feel special and rewards them for coming in.
Next up, we've got Tribe 2, the balanced shoppers. These customers are super comfortable in both worlds, digital and physical. For them, you absolutely need what's called an omni-channel strategy. So you can engage them with emails about an in-store sale, or maybe offer an online discount that they can use when they come into the store. The point is, you meet them wherever they happen to be.
And finally, there's Tribe 3, the young e-commerce fans. Look, trying to reach this group with an in-store flyer, it'd be a complete waste of time and money. They live online, so the strategy for them has to be 100% digital. We're talking targeted social media ads, getting influencers involved, and running flash sales on your website or your app.
So there you have it. It's pretty incredible, right? We started with just a confusing jumble of numbers, but by applying a structured, methodical approach, we've completely transformed that noise into 3 clear customer personas, each with its own tailored strategy. We didn't just analyze data here, we've actually created an actionable playbook for growth. You see, every dataset out there is telling a story. It's got hidden tribes, unspoken preferences, and huge untapped opportunities just waiting to be found. The only real question is, are you listening? Thanks for joining me.